it's almost like you're restrained. Like you cannot really fully develop your skills and like what you're capable of because you still have to do your job. At the end of the day, you don't have that time to, oh, let me study something else.
So after college, you went kind of the corporate route, and then
Yes.
you transitioned into entrepreneurship. So walk me through that experience.
Well, all our parents, like I said, like college was like almost like if somebody graduated, oh wow, because not everybody could go to college in Albania, and especially like the same thing with the U.S. Like it's so expensive, like here, like college seems like I'm like now that I see sometimes what the tuition costs, I'm like, I wish I took the money and invested in myself and opened a business 10 years ago. I would have been probably a multimillionaire by now. Mm-hmm. But because I did what my parents taught me, what my society taught me, like, oh, like you have to go to college, go to corporate, and just, you know, work like 8 to 5 and work extra hours without getting paid and never see your kids grow. And that's what I thought. And trust me, I love my job. I mean, there's no job that is happy because you're overwhelmed, you're stressed. I mean, it's a job at the end of the day. You're not even growing yourself as much as you're growing somebody else's business. But I always had that entrepreneurship mindset because my mom actually had a shop growing up. And that was actually one of the reasons that I didn't want to start a business, because I would see how stressful she was all the time. And she'd bring business home and just talk about business all day. And I'm like, oh my God, I never want to be an entrepreneur in my life. But as I was going through the corporate and I was learning so much and I was building, it's almost like you're restrained. Like you cannot really fully develop your skills and like what you're capable of because you still have to do your job. At the end of the day, you don't have that time to, oh, let me study something else. Yes, the corporate will invest in you to maybe do a certain certificate, but it still needs to be based on the job. And I remember like I love marketing, I love social media, and I had experience like building startups from scratch with social media marketing. But I couldn't like apply it as much to my job as much as I'll try. And honestly, they were not even paying good enough marketers. Like I feel like social media marketing or marketing in general still to nowadays, unfortunately, is seen as a side budget because people don't see like the ROI that, hey, if you invest the right way, you can have so much more money. You can grow so much faster than actually hiring full-time people to be your sales or account manager, because that's where the world has evolved. Like telemarketers or, you know, call pitching is not working as much as it used to be like 10 or 20 years ago because everybody's doing it. So what is not everybody doing is invest in the social media marketing because they think it's like a waste of time just because they don't realize value. And that's where I kind of like, I'm like, you know what? I don't see my kids grow. I'm like, basing my promotion or my raise, my skills are dependent on what somebody tells me that if they have the budget or no. Or I have to wait. And sometimes not every company has a good career path. Like you grow and there's like nothing above that because that's how the department is constructed. So it just happened a month before the pandemic. And I was on maternity leave with my second daughter. And unfortunately, they could not accommodate for me to be having more flexibility, you know, ironically, because it happened before the pandemic. So I'm like, you know what? I couldn't do it. Like my daughter was sick at the time. I was not mentally capable to go to work because I knew I was going to miss her as well. Because I missed my first daughter's, most of her upbringing, I feel like. Either daycare raised her or my mom raised her. So I quit. Like simple as that, I quit. I never thought I quit because like I literally was ironing my clothes for the week and I give my work notice and they did what they could. You know, every company has their own laws, like no grudges there. I really love my job, the people I work with, but it was just not anymore what was making me happy. And I quit. And at first I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just be like a few months like as a stay-home mom and then I'll start my business. And it was faster than that because I'm like you. I'm like run. Like I need to be doing and developing stuff and creating stuff. So, you know, that didn't last long. After the pandemic, like maybe that was even my push. I'm like, make desserts or cooking. I need to be building stuff. So that's where I started my business. At first it was just consulting because I found like a niche. I found that most of these companies, startups, they didn't have the budget to hire an entire marketing department, or they had the budget to hire, let's say, social media marketers, video editors, but they didn't have like a special, like a director of marketing or marketing manager to help them build this team, train them the right way, and just like move forward. So I found the niche from talking to entrepreneurs, just networking, and I'm like, I'm going to do exactly that. So that's what I did. Like people would hire me per hours or project based to basically build their team from scratch. And then slowly I realized that didn't even have a team. So then I'm like, I'll start my team. So I started my marketing agency, and I'm like, okay, you can hire either me, and then whatever team you don't have, I have my team that I trust, who I manage, and basically they don't deal with anything. I do the project management, the strategy, everything. All the entrepreneur does is like whatever things I ask them to send me, they pay in the end, and then everything works out. Like, I think that's where the niche that I found, and that's everybody has to think about what is not working in their industry and go do that. That's how you become different.
I love that. So you just like straight up quit corporate and you were like, I'm gonna start up this agency. I mean, that takes a lot, and you're a new mom, and you that's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. But I felt like, if I don't do it now, like my husband said something to me, it's like, you have been talking about opening your business forever. He's like, now you don't have a job because you quit. And there's a goddamn pandemic. We cannot do much. You cannot probably even find a job if you want to another one. He's like, if you don't start it now, you'll never find it. Like, you'll never start your business. And I think that was my last push. And I'm like, he's right. Like, what do I have to lose? I have nothing to lose now. So I just started. And in the beginning, like, I was just starting in the beginning, so it's not that you get so many clients at once. But in the beginning, it was just me. And I was just doing the project management. But as I was growing my clients, their services and needs started to grow. And that's where I started my agency. And it's not rainbow, you guys. It's hard. It's harder than working for your corporate job, because I remember at 5 o'clock, I'll close my laptop and be like, bye-bye, and go home. I didn't care if there was a fire. I mean, I'll feel bad, but I didn't care because it was not my business.
Right.
But when is your business? You're like, 10 o'clock, you're trying to sleep, and I'm like, oh, I should have sent that email. Oh, maybe I do it now. Or, oh, I should have done this. Or, like, you're constantly thinking about your business because it's your baby. You're, like, building that thing from scratch. So it's stressful, and then you just learn a little bit as you go. The first year was very overwhelming. I made more money in corporate, but I felt a little bit like I was going this, like, depression mode because I was never leaving the house. I'm like, why did I leave my corporate job again? Because I'm still working all the day. I still am not able to see my daughters and spend time with them. So then I kind of like dive deep in my own business structure. And I'm like, well, there's things that I don't need to be there. So why am I not hiring people to do it? Or maybe like this service that I'm offering is taking so much of my time. It's not worth it at the end of the day. So I started cutting down a little bit. I started focusing more of what I wanted to do, which is content creation, coaching. I mentor entrepreneurs. First of all, like just like to understand social media marketing. So then they can either hire my team or hire somebody else. But now they know what needs to be done. Because most of this like startups or CEOs, they start a company, they hire a social media manager, and they expect them to know it. But I'm like, she just does a posting and maybe cute post. She doesn't understand content strategy. That's where I come in. I train you how to do it. I give you all the tools. I train you as you have to do yourself in a way. And then you know who to hire, what to do, and how to manage that process. And then most of the time, usually those entrepreneurs, once they get to the stage, like, well, okay, now I need your team.
Right.
Because I don't want to hire anybody or train. I don't have the time. So that's where I come in. And so far it's worked good. It always has ups and downs like the other business. But, just keep struggling, keep going, keep hustling, keep moving and changing. And things just work out.